BigCountryPreps.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is our countdown to two-a-days series. Our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be answering about that team and our August 17th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And tonight, Dan, we've got the Colorado City Wolves.
Yeah, it'll be a new era in Colorado City. Coach Dan Gainey stepped down after last season after a really solid tenure there, and he's been replaced by Monty Leaf, who comes there by way of Eustis. He was a head coach at Eustis last year. So it'll be interesting just to see kind of how that goes. Coach Dan Gainey really kind of carried them through a pretty intense rebuilding phase. But they've got a decent group back, 13 lettermen, among those 7 offensive and 4 defensive starters. So they've got a little bit of talent back. They did lose a couple of key players from last year's 1-9 squad, but their JV team made some progress, won 4 games last year, went 4-5. So I think things are looking up a little bit for them, but it will be probably another tough year in Coach Leaf's first season. We'll just kind of have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, well, the cupboard's not empty. The cupboard's not empty. You've got some JV kids that won some ball games last year that understand that they are capable of winning games. And with 7 offensive starters to build around, 13 lettermen isn't terrible. Those are not awful numbers. You'd like to have a few more than that, obviously, but the cupboard is not bare in Colorado City. So once they get the system installed, we'll see how they progress. I think we have to be fair with them in a year like this. They're still going to be fairly young, but they have to learn a new system. Once they get everything in place, we'll see. And I think just have to give them time.
And there are some playmakers. Coach Leaf's going to inherit a couple of guys who've played quite a bit of football, albeit for teams that have struggled a little bit. But Mason Monroe at the quarterback position, seen time in each of his first 2 years of high school. So he's a junior with a lot of experience. Jordan Rashke's a big kid who's a real nice tight end wide receiver type. Christian Ashby's a guy that gives them a really experienced offensive lineman as a junior, and a big kid, 6'4", 315. So they've got some pieces to build around. It's just going to be interesting to see kind of what Coach Leaf does, coming in there and kind of what his philosophies are. There's going to be an adjustment period, like we talk about anytime you have a new coach. And in this case, you've got, we'll just kind of have to see. So, but I think Colorado City, they got a bit. I think it was big for them last year to get the win they did, because they had gone a couple of years, some really lean, a really extended losing streak that they were able to snap, getting that one win. And we'll just kind of see if they can build on that this year.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Mason Monroe, who is we know is from a family of solid athletes, can do at the quarterback spot as a junior this year. Not the biggest guy in the world, only 5'8", 145, but quick, and we know he's athletic. It'll be interesting to see what he can do as he matures. That's another thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah, if I was pointing out one big question mark, I think the offense with 7 starters back and some of those guys I mentioned, I think the offense has an opportunity to be a little bit ahead of the defense, which only returns four starters from last year's group. So that I think is going to be something to watch, is just to see kind of what they can do defensively with a young group. But I think that it will be an interesting season, because I think that their district plays out in a way that they can be in the mix for that 4th playoff spot. I think it's going to be tough to get in that upper echelon where you've got Hawley, Cisco, potentially Stanford. But I do think at the bottom of that district, you've got 4 programs in there that have all kind of struggled or are looking to struggle this year with younger teams. So I think Colorado City has an opportunity, if they can take advantage of some of those opportunities they have to get wins. Those are on their schedule.
They absolutely have to find a way to get defensive stops. If they find a way to get defensive stops, they will compete. So you only have 4 guys back on that side of the ball, a bunch of young guys moving up. So maybe they'll find a way. We'll see. But that will be one of the big keys that we'll be taking a look at, no doubt about it.
Yeah, when you look at their schedule, they did not, they loaded it up. They opened with a game at Roscoe, which will be a very tough non-district game. They've got a tough non-district schedule to get them ready for their district.
C-City's never one to line up a row of cupcakes. They never are. Every year we've seen them with a difficult non-district portion of that schedule. We've seen them, with road dates to Albany, et cetera. And that's just their philosophy. They get ready for district with a row of tough teams. This year's no different. A difficult road date at Roscoe will start things off. They've got new home again on the road. That won't be easy. And then a couple of home dates against toughies, Christoval and Cahoma on the 9th and the 16th. And Dan, right off the bat, they jump into district with a toughie.
Yeah, they open on September 23rd at Cisco. That's going to be a very tough district matchup. And then they bring Anson to town after that, go to Holly on October 7th, have their open week, then play Winters at home, go to Olney, and then finish up their district schedule with Stamford at home. So this is a very, very tough schedule for a young team. But there are some opportunities, like I said, for wins in district, and they're going to have to take advantage of them. You look at that day, the game against Anson at home on September 30th. That's going to be a huge game. And then they got the home date with Winters, and then the road date at Olney. I think all three of those are going to be really big games if Colorado City hopes to make the playoffs.
Well, if Cisco and Holly are as good as we expect them to be, and Stanford takes the step forward that we expect, then really the battle in this district is for that fourth spot. And Sea City, really, if you look at their schedule, even though they've got a difficult schedule this year, 2 of the 3 games that they need to win are going to be at home. They've got Anson at home. They've got Winters at home. These are crucial games for them if they want a playoff spot, and then the road date at Olney. So really, if you want to make the playoffs, regardless, even if you have a very difficult schedule, that's the way you want it to work out. At least the 2 of the 3 tough games that they've got, the key games, are going to be at Sea City.
Yeah, and I think this is actually a really interesting district because I bet if you look on these coaches' lists, if they're listing, I'll bet there are 4 teams at the bottom of this district that are all penciling themselves in as that 4th playoffs team. So you got 4 teams that all think they have that ability to make the playoffs, and they're all going to be battling week after week for those spots. I think that could be one of the more intriguing races. That not involving, district championships in the big country, because there's going to be 4 teams that are all going to be fighting very hard for a playoff spot, and that all could really use it. I mean, there's 4 teams at the bottom of that district that could all really benefit from a playoff appearance this year.
And with that, it's just about time to wrap up tonight's edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Day series, the Colorado City Wolves. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 separate subscription packages here at BigCountryPreps.com. We've got a monthly for $5 a month. We got a semi-annual subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month for a 6-month subscription. And then we got an annual 12-month subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month, $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage. And even though we've got high inflation these days, our prices have stayed the same.
We'd also like to remind you before we close out this episode of our Countdown series to be on the lookout for that August 17th Big Country Preps preseason football preview. Just going to be a ton of area football content. You will not want to miss that. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode for our Countdown to Two-A-Day series. And make sure you join us again tomorrow when we will highlight the Holly Bearcats here at BigCountryPreps.com.